Shalom, call halal Yahweh Shemil Hashai Bahashem HaKadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us this truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers that push the word and truth and its sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. And shalom and salutations to all the Aqua, listening and learning, being a pillar of rest. I'm the brother Yahshua. I'm back with the WW3 Daily update. Shalom and salutations to you as well. We're going to keep this real short. We're going to let the general speak for a minute and give us a quick little update. We're going to start right here, and this is how we know that this war is not coming to an end. All right. 2nd Ezra 16, and woe is me, right? Woe is me. This is Ezra's being shown this vision, and Ezra's like, damn. All right. Woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? The beginning. Not the midpoint, not the end. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. The beginning of famine and great death. The beginning of wars. Okay? Russia, Ukraine. See, Russia's going to see this thing all the way through to the end of World War III, which Yahushua and the angels are coming batting cleanup, if you will. But this is the beginning of World War III. And the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? I just wanted to show you the beginning of wars. So that crosses out anything dealing with this war being over or coming to a close. All right. This war will be absorbed into the larger war. Okay. All right. So with that being said, let's listen to old Dougie Fresh here. All right. General Dougie Doug. Oh, niggas, just play it. All right. Here we go. A direct counterattack on Western Ukraine. All right. So let's check it out.
So you recently published an article, a very good article, called Discarding Illusions, Ending Wars. Not just an interesting topic, but very relevant. As, well, some might say it appears we're reaching the beginning of the end of this horrific war.
We're not. Even if it was the end of the war in Ukraine, the moment that it's understood, which it already is, that Ukraine is going to lose, then NATO joins the war. So is it over? No, it's not.
Which shouldn't have happened. But I wanted to delve into some of your arguments, even if you agree with that assessment, of course. So I thought today we can just discuss how you see that this has started, where the war is going, and lastly, how you think this will likely end. But well, starting at the beginning, well, obviously to end the war, it's necessary to be honest about why the war began. And these days, that seems to be controversial. But without addressing the cause, of course, we can't really understand the motivations of the counterpart. But also, we miss the possible solutions for a settlement. So to start with a very big opening question, how did we end up in this war? Fighting the world's largest nuclear power. Yeah, how did we end up here?
The world's largest, world war. Okay? All these large nuclear power are going to come together. Everybody going to choose their side and go to war. So how is this the end?
Well, I think there are several different answers on different levels. On one level, it's very obvious that over the last 15 to 20 years, every attempt by Mr. Putin as president of Russia and his government to convey their concern to NATO, to the United States, about
this lighter will give you fun.
Slovakia. Get back to it here.
About the gradual but relentless movement of NATO's eastern border to the border with Russia were ignored. All these pleas for a halt, requests for discussions, requests to re-examine arrangements on the European continent for national security that would address Russian concerns and potentially even include Russia as part of the larger solution in the regional security structure. All of these things were frankly ignored.
Okay, now that's very, very important what he just said. They said, well, how did we get here? He said, well, for years now, Russia said, just don't come near our border, and we're completely ignored. So here we are. All right, now who did that? The Most High did that. The Most High is forcing this war. Okay, don't you know that you're going to destroy yourselves? It don't matter. We can't stop ourselves. No, you can't, because the Most High is conducting both sides and every side, and it's already a done deal.
And at the same time, you had people lying directly to President Putin. We know that now from both the former German Chancellor Angela Merkel as well as President Macron, that the Minsk process, which was supposed to address the concerns Moscow had for the welfare and rights of Russians inside Ukraine, were simply instruments or modalities designed to slow down any solution, but to pacify Russia, and at the same time to buy time for this fledgling Ukrainian state that emerges after the 2014 Maidan coup, a radical nationalist state, to build itself up into a regional military power. Those things are the principal reasons for the frustration on the Russian side and the decision reached ultimately in January to use military power to signal primarily Russia's concerns. And I think that's the other portion of this that deserves some attention. I think Mr. Putin is a victim of what we call rational choice theory. Rational choice theory has been very popular for years because people think that other people are rational. And if you're rational, you are inevitably going to pursue your own individual interest. This is true in economics. People think it's true in political life. It's true in almost everything, except that it's not true. People are not rational. They frequently do things that are not in their interest. They make decisions on the basis of emotion, not reason. And I think when Mr. Putin first went in with this relatively small force, he had a little over 200,000 men available, but he only sent 90,000 in initially along a very broad front. His thinking was, well, this will signal the seriousness with which we in Moscow regard the potential for Ukraine to become part of the NATO alliance and become a base for a potential attack against Russia. And he thought, I think, without giving it much consideration, that since certainly the Second World War, we have always approached the Soviet Union and subsequently Russia with a great deal of caution and circumspection, because Russia is a nuclear power and the Soviet Union was a nuclear power. And there was an understanding in Moscow and in Washington that whatever disputes emerged, every effort should be undertaken to avoid an escalation that might lead to a nuclear exchange. So I think he thought, well, once they see how serious we are, they'll immediately say, look, this has gone far enough. We really do need to talk.
But it's about that crazy. Oh, you guys are serious, but we're crazy. We can push the envelope until the very end. And the Most High is creating that, right? That fervor. So, I mean, this is an inevitable lose for who? Who's going to lose World War III? The nation of Edom is going to lose. All the nations are going to lose. You know who's going to win World War III? The Israelites. Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. And put your thumbs down. When you're hearing this, you hear this truth, and you hate what you hear, please put a thumbs down. And don't go to the comment board and explain shit, because you're a fucking coward. All right? But what's going on right now? Edomites, the so-called white man, this is white on white crime, if you will. and you're going to destroy each other to the point where the true leaders, right, God's chosen people, the nation of Israel, are going to come into rulership through the hand, the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, who you call God and Jesus, right? We'll let a little more of this play and then we'll prove what I'm saying right now.
And I think he completely misread the West. He should have paid attention to the various proposals that were submitted in December and January, which were never really seriously considered. We essentially told Moscow, Ukraine joins NATO, it's our way or the highway. So if you don't like it, you can lump it.
White on white crime.
And obviously that was unacceptable. So he takes this small force into Ukraine and he gives it instructions. He says, I don't want to kill Ukrainians. I want to minimize losses. He didn't even allow the Russian forces to attack the Ukrainian forces in their respective bases. He said, oh no. He said, I don't want this to become a full-blown war. What I want to do is signal how seriously we're taking this matter. And I want to minimize collateral damage. I don't want to injure innocent people. I don't want to destroy buildings and structures that don't require attention from the military. Well, we know.
Here's how you.
We'll let a little more play. That's funny.
Well, we know this failed miserably. And in fact, the worst possible outcome occurred. Once the talks did get started between the Ukrainians and Moscow, we intervened and made it very clear that we didn't want a settlement.
We are not going to stop. Okay. We are cray and cray. All right. And it's going to be white on white crime until annihilation. Now, who's causing all? The one you call God, whose name is Yahweh, he's the one doing this. Got you crazy motherfuckers about to kill each other, right? And we can listen to more, but I mean, let's just get to it. If you want to watch the rest of this really good, watch this guy, General Douglas McGregor, Colonel Salakia. Colonel Douglas McGregor, went through that last time. I keep calling him General Salakia. 17 hours ago, and he's giving you his synopsis. So let's just cut to the chase and find out what the hell is going on. All right, so go to Joel 3 and find out who's doing this. Right? The Lord judges the nation. Who is I? The Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Joseph. Here's what we see going on. Okay? All nations, the Gentile nations, right? Here you have Israel, true Israel, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, and Speckled Bird, right? Here you have everybody else. These people have no seat at the table, okay? The people in Israel now is part of this, all nations. They're not the Israelites. Those are Edomites about to go heads up with each other. Okay? The Most High said he will gather all nations. Let's clarify it. NLT. I will gather the armies of the world. Who's that? All of them. All the armies of the world, including the Israelis. They're going to be there. They qualify as the armies of the world. Who don't have an army? Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole. Okay? We don't have an army. We fight in somebody else's army. They got us on the front line. But that's not our army. Not our interests that we're out there fighting for. Right? That's cannon fodder. We don't have an army. But the armies of the world are going to fight each other. That's what this is saying. And who's doing it? God. Yahweh. I will gather the armies of the world into the valley of Jehoshaphat and judge them. They're about to be judged. That's why. But the point is they're going to be there. And what are they going to do? They're going to fight each other. It's called World War III. This is World War III. Proclaim thee, jump down to 9, 3 and 9. Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, or the nations, right? The nation, proclaim ye this among the nations, among the Gentiles, the Gentile nations. Do what? Get ready to fight each other. You understand? That's your World War III. Who's going to win World War III? Okay. Well, nobody's going to win. All right. Now we'll go here. Let's find out. Let's find out the end game, okay? Gathered together, right? God said he's going to do what? Let's go back. Back to 2. I will gather together, gather the armies of the world. Gather, right? He's going to gather them together, right? He's going to gather them together for a fight, to fight each other. It's called World War III. All the nations of the world, all the armies of the nations of the world gather, right? Okay. 2nd Ezra 13 and 5. After this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together. Who's that? A multitude of men out of number from the 4 winds of heaven to subdue the men that came out of the sea. Wait a minute. They were all gathered together. This is World War III. All right. And they're going to be out there killing each other, right? But who wins World War III? Well, they're going to stop fighting each other. Why? Because they're going to switch their attention to what? To subdue the men that came out of the sea. Who came out of the sea? And it came to pass, this is 2nd Ezra 13 and 1. It came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man, here's that man that came out of the sea, right? To subdue the men that came out of the sea. Who came out of the sea? That man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. That man is the one that you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahushua. He was with the angels, the thousands of heaven, his army. Okay? So it's going to go from World War III, them fighting each other. They're going to stop fighting each other. They're going to come together as one, right? To fight a celestial fight. Okay? They're going to take it from a human fight to a celestial fight. All right? Right here. Joel 3 and 11. Assemble yourself and come, all ye heathen, gather yourselves together round about. Gather yourselves. Okay? And then what? After you're fighting, and then you see that you have bigger fish to fry, thither cause thy mighty ones to come down. Then it becomes a celestial war. So nobody really wins World War III. Okay? How do we know? Because they're going to stop fighting each other in the middle of it. Okay? 33. Here's World War III. 2nd Ezra 13 and 31. And one shall undertake to fight against another. One city against another, one place against another, one people against another. That's World War III. Then it goes to the celestial and one realm. That's when they stop fighting each other and try to fight against the one you ignorantly call Jesus and the angels. One realm. The 4th dimension against the 3rd dimension. Jump down to 33. Here's where they stop fighting each other and try to fight against the angels, which is the stupidest thing you could ever. So who wins World War III? Nobody does. They all lose. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together. There it is again. Right? World War III. As thou sawest, willing to come in, overcome him, Yahushua, by fighting. Right? Salakia. Let me read 33. And when all the people hear his voice, right? So they're fighting each other until they see those lasers coming out of those spaceships, right? And when all the people hear his voice, what voice? Every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. The battle they have one against another is called World War III. This is when they stop fighting each other because out of the fourth dimension come spaceships shooting laser beams. And when all the people hear his voice, what voice? This voice. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, who was his mouth? That man that waxed strong. Whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, it's going to describe what the voice is. What is the voice? When the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. What is this talking about? Okay, this is talking about the weapon systems on the spaceship. It's a laser. And whensoever the voice, the laser, went out of his mouth, out of his ship, they all burned. What does the laser do? It burns a motherfucker's ass up. All they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the concentrated fire. Okay? The voice. Okay? Now, start at 9. 2 Ezra 13 and 9. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, the violence of the multitude was World War III going on. They stopped fighting each other, said, let's go get them. Let's go get those spaceships. He neither lifted up his hand nor held sword. Who is he? The one that came out of the sea, whose voice was a laser beam coming out of a spaceship. Neither lifted up his hand nor held any sword nor any instrument of war, but only that I saw that he sent out of his mouth. What do you mean he sent out of his mouth? That's his voice. What did his voice do? As it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. This is the end of World War III right here. They stopped fighting each other. They tried to fight against that man, right, who was flying a mountain, as in she'll be coming around the mountain. He was flying it. He was flying that great mountain, right? And the mountain had a voice. It was a laser, okay? Now it's going to show you the end of all the armies of the earth right here. What happened to them? They got lasered. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth. This is describing his voice. As it had been a blast of fire. See, what we have here is Ezra, the prophet, right, being shown a vision or in a dream. Okay, and he's describing what he saw. And this is how he's explaining. I saw a spaceship with laser beams, but only I saw, Ezra's telling you what he saw, that he sent out of his mouth what came out of the gun port of the spaceship, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, And out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude that was prepared to fight, the ones that were gathered together, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. That's the end of World War III right there, or all the armies that were fighting. Okay? So we know who wins World War III. Nobody does. Or the nation of Israel wins. Okay? Or the angels, right? Who we know to be the angels, or who you would call the aliens won. The aliens won World War III. See how that works? So it's not going to calm down. The war is not going to. Here's where the war is over right here. Okay? When all the armies of the world get turned into dust. Okay? That's it. That's the end of World War III right there. Right? We could go to Revelation 19, right? To prove what we're saying. Revelation 19 and 19. And I saw the beast, NATO and the EU, and the kings of the earth and their armies. So all the armies of the earth, right, were gathered together to do what? To make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army, the angels, and the one you call the Word, and his name is called the Word. Right? Armies which were in heaven followed him on white horses, those spaceships. Okay? Lasers and spaceship. Here's what they're not telling you. Oh, we have alien bodies and we have alien spacecraft. They're not telling you about this fight. Okay? They're not telling you about this. They're not telling you about she'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. But I beheld, this is 2 Ezra 13 and 6, but I beheld, and he had graved him, he cut out of the mountain range one huge mountain and flew up upon it. Huh? Sounds like a nursery rhyme. Right? Well, out of that mountain came a voice. And that voice was a laser beam. Right? Coming around the mountain when she comes. Riding 6 white horses when she comes. Background. She'll be coming around the mountain. The original song was published in Old Plantation Hymns in 1899. It ostensibly refers to the second coming of Christ, with the she referring to the chariot with lasers that the returning Christ is depicted as driving. Like many spirituals that originated in the African American. So when I say that the Israelites, right, swing low, sweet chariot, right, we're out there singing to our God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to come and grab us, get us out of here, right? Why does it say this? Who are these people? And why were they singing, calling on Yahushua and the angels to come and get them out of slavery? Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home, to get me out of slavery. Where were they? They was in slavery. Like many spirituals that originated from the original Jews community, this was probably a coded anthem for the Underground Railroad. What was that about? Underground Railroad? It was about getting you out of slavery. Anyway, we'll end it right there. We know who's going to win World War III. We know who's going to lose. Okay? So this, McGregor, where you at? All right. What else?
There's, of course, the famous visit of Boris Johnson at the behest of President Biden to Kyiv, in which he says, what are you doing? Don't accept neutrality. Don't accept anything. Reject everything. And we promise you that we will provide you with all the scientific, industrial, military power that you need to prevail over the Russians. The Russians are weak. The Russians are stupid. The Russians lack resources. The Russians have a weak economy. Remember the battle cry in Washington? Russia is a gas station with nuclear weapons.
Now, where is all of this going? It's going to World War III. All right. This thing done spiraled out of control. The armchair quarterbacks, this guy. Unless you can go into the scriptures and point out what's actually going to happen, none of these shall fail. Right? Seek ye out. None of these. Where do you go to find out what's going to happen in the world? Look in the scroll of the Lord. That's the Bible. Search the book of the Lord. What is the book of the Lord? That's the Bible. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None of these will be missing. What are these? These prophecies. Okay? So what I'm showing you, right? Showing you what the spaceships are. Showing you who's going to win the fight. Showing you who's going to be turned to dust and smell of smoke. Right? War of the what? War of the what? Worlds. World War III. War of the World. Somebody knows. War of the World. War of the Worlds. WRLDS. What? Laser. Lasers. Plural. Not lasers. Slovakia. Let's watch this. So this represents a spaceship. They put legs on it to throw you off. All right, but they know. All right. Out of his mouth, right? Out of his mouth, sparks and tempests out of his mouth. And they took some creative license with tripods, and I'm going to get a copyright for this. Now watch. Watch what comes out of its mouth. Woo. This represents a spaceship. Now watch what happens. What comes out of his mouth. blood spilling. That's how you cleanse the earth, by the blood of him that shed it. Watch the reflection. What is that? Is that a laser? That's a laser. Now what's happening right here? That's dust and smell of smoke. But only he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire and a flaming breath and sparks and tempests. That's what you're watching right there. Dust and smell of smoke. See the lasers? Let's read that again. See how the scriptures come to life? 2 Ezra 13 and 10, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Now let's get this one. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. Let's get that movie. Okay. Let's bring that one to life. Every now and then you gotta go in and show, and take a copyright strike. Slock here. I don't think I hit the right one. It's this one. Bear with me. We're going to go back to she'll be coming around the mountain. Okay. He had graved himself, meaning cut out a great mountain and flew up upon it. Let's see the great mountain. Might as well start at the top. Huh? And every eye shall see him. Why is every eye? It said, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. Why will every eye see him? Because that ship is going to be so big. Behold, he cometh with clouds. See them clouds, that cloaking device? He cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. But he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. This is what Ezra is describing in his dream, if you will. And that ain't no tripod. That's a fucking spaceship. That ain't no spaceship. That's a tripod. It had lasers, but it was a tripod. It had legs on it. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. It ostensibly refers to the second coming of Christ, and the she referring to the chariot, the mountain that was so big that every eye is going to see it. And he flew up upon it. Get it? Now let's see the one. Where did that one go? This. I didn't see no lasers. Well, lasers are coming out of the spaceship, the mountain. See the military involved in this? And they do go to war with the so-called alien. Let's get to the cut to the chase. There's your laser. And when they hear his voice, this is his voice. That's his voice. So this is what, the one you call Jesus, this is what he's coming back to do. And if you think that the people that made this movie, you think that they don't know that? And they're trying to put their spin on it as somehow they're bad, that Jesus is bad, he's an alien and they're coming back and we need to fight against them. It doesn't go like that. That's his voice. That's the chariot. That's the voice. See how you bring it all together here? 6 white horses, huh? She'll be coming around the mountain. Coming around the mountain when she goes. Swing down, sweet cherry, stop and let me ride. Right? The song is derived from the Christian spiritual known as When the Chariot Comes. See that? When the chariot comes. She'll be coming around the mountain. The real name for it is When the Chariot Comes, linking the mountain to the chariot. See? And these guys, how are these guys linked? Don't say nothing about Israelites in here at all. Somebody's lying. Okay? Why would we be singing to our God about this? Somebody knew, right? Second Ezra 13:3, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, that means the ship turned, all things trembled that were seen under him. We saw that in the movie. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. Okay. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain. This is out of the Bible. This is the Bible. And flew. He had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. That's what we're watching. Okay? And they know. All right? So you got right now all over the news. Oh, well, we have alien body parts. We have back engineered UFOs. But not one time have you said anything about what they actually are or what's coming. Not one time. You know exactly what I'm saying is true. And I'm talking about the people that made, the people at the top, they know. You no account fucking poor pieces of shit. You don't understand any of this. But at the top, the so-called Illuminati, they understand fully what we're saying. Okay? We're going to end right here. They know. Wisdom of Solomon 5:1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. That's what this is. That's what this video is about. We're standing in great boldness before the face of these damn devils, right? When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear. When they shall see what? When they see this, right? When they see these spaceships, and this is what it means to be saved, right? They shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. Nobody, oh, that was a movie. That's just a movie, guy, my dude. My dude, that's just a movie. Yeah. Where'd they get the script from this movie? Right here. All right. So anyway, we'll end it right there. World War III ain't going nowhere. All right. So tell General McGregor this war is not about to be over. It'll be over when this happens. I gotta get it. It'll be over when this happens, right? And burn them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived but only dust and smoke. Well, that's when it's over. Okay? When all the armies of the world get vaporized by the chariots of Israel, the so-called UFOs, the spaceships. Okay? So with that, we hope that the elect will edify you, brothers and sisters. With that, I'm going to say shalom.